Hey guys, welcome to the Commando cast. I am Mike.
And I'm Andrew, and now that the smoke has cleared from the Set 9 delay, Mike and I are looking forward to how to keep things fresh and where we go from here. All right, guys, welcome back to episode 48 of the Commando cast. So, like I said, the smoke is cleared. We've started moving on. There was a post up today that got quite a bit of discussion on the internal boards. Sean actually started it kind of indirectly with a poll. He was basically asking, okay, now we know the Set 9 is not going to be out before Worlds. What do we do? How do we keep this fresh? Do we make any changes before Worlds? How do we keep it new? Right, so he had a poll up there, and there were a lot of, what to nerf, how to nerf this, right? But one of the things that came out of that was negative balance of the force for multiple overcosted characters. So, just on the surface, Mike, what do you think about that idea?
Well, we all rage against our favorite pairings being nerfed, right? If you look at the poll results, there was basically the Satine droid players were didn't want to vote for the Satine droid, and there was very small, and everyone was kind of varied in their response to what should be nerfed. But universally, it seemed like people were like, "Yeah, let's fix some old characters." So I think if there can't be a more fun way to balance the game. Well, I don't know, balance is probably a strong term, but to freshen the game,
open it up,
right?
Yeah.
Than to take some of these characters that were I don't want to say poorly designed, but not placed where they could compete with some of our powerhouses. So on the surface, it seems wonderful. Do it.
Yeah, I've said this multiple times before. I don't think that you can do that, at least in standard. I think it's okay they did it in Infinite A because of just the obvious power curve of the first three of the first block.
Right.
But also, Infinite's kind of Wild Wild West anyway, so
kind of.
They'd all be damned, right?
Right. It's degenerate. It's purposely degenerate and Infinite. So yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know that you can negative balance somebody because it was never tested there, right? So, and even to a certain extent, so there's been a lot of chatter about people wanting to see Phasma 2, which is the two-player Phasma removed from Balance of the Force, which I think makes a lot of sense on the surface. And it would also be really great because, the two-player set's actually a two-player set again. You could actually play legal characters, which would be really great. But if you really think about it, she's been Balance of the Force for so long that I think some of the, there should be sets coming out that were tested with her at 14 and not 13. Right. So,
and I think her biggest problem when she came out, Phasma 2, was the available character pairings with her at 13 were, I'm trying to think.
Well, just Kylo on the surface.
Right. Cad Bane. That was the one I was thinking of. That was just Cad Bane was super strong with the action cheat anyway, and then adding her in there. So I would love to see just her come off the list. I think would be really fun. It'd open up a lot of fun stuff.
So that single thing alone could open up.
Right.
IG88 looks pretty good. 13 point. Right. Because I was playing the Hask IG88. Right. And Phasma seems a little better than Hask.
Yes. Yeah. And her rifle, it's interesting. Her rifle doesn't see much play because she doesn't see much play, and that would also bring another.
Right. And it's not very playable on Big Phasma, right? So.
I guess I never really thought about it.
I have seen people play it on Big Phasma, but it's just not as.
Yeah, I guess when it redeploys, it doesn't pair so well with things that it redeploys to on.
Well, going to a Mud Trooper or a First Order Stormtrooper, guns are guns, right? But.
That's interesting. I forgot about that card, actually.
And then remember, Daniel, he was playing his Iden. He was actually playing Iden 14-point Phasma, and he was playing it there just for his speed gun stack. So, but yeah, no, you're right. On the whole, that card is really a binder card. But I think if you could run a 10-13 Phasma with IG88, I think you definitely play that card, right?
Is Iden's 15 correct? So
Iden's 15.
So you could do Iden and Phasma with advanced training.
Yeah, basically everywhere that you use Hask today, I think you can swap Phasma out. Right?
And is that a problem? Does that just completely blank Hask?
I don't think so, because, does it? I don't know. I can see advantages for running Hask, too, because his power action where you get to roll in a trooper die if you own the battlefield is not bad. It's an extra die. So, conditionally and slower, but a 3-die Hask versus a 2-die Phasma,
And you could even run a 4-die, 3-wide, maybe Elite Phasma. Hask is a 10, right? With his single die, and then a 7-point trooper. and then because you don't really care. Haska's, I mean, his dice are pretty good, but his power action doesn't. All you need is the battlefield, right? So you'd have to be a little quick. But now there's cards to get the battlefield back that don't really get played very much. So maybe that would even open that up. So
anyway, I mean, yes, I think the Phasma thing would be a cool way to open this up as well. But what Mike and I wanted to talk about today is just not whether or not we think negative balance is a good idea, right? I think we're both pro it. Like, it's fine. I just think it's probably not going to happen. Like, it seems really dangerous to do.
And it could really lead to some. I think if we had a very quickly reactive development team behind the game that was willing to make changes, try something for a couple months, and then quickly roll it back, I think they would be more daring with some of this stuff. But the bottom line is, I mean, Jeremy's a good designer, but he doesn't get to just make the call and then 4 days later it's errated. Like, he's got to get everything through Disney.
And even if that was the case, at this point they need to make the decision now before Worlds. Like, I mean, it has to be made soon, right? Whatever that decision is, it has to be made soon.
Worlds is just a little over a month away, correct? At this point,
yes. Today is mid-September, so it'll be about a month-ish. It's a little more than a month away. So anyway, where we wanted to go today, when Mike and I were kind of talking about this, is we were talking about our top 5 most disappointing characters in Standard. And kind of when we were talking about this, it wasn't necessarily like some guy that was just designed bad. It was somebody who was like almost good, but just couldn't ever quite get there.
Right.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and start with your list, Mike. So what's your first character?
Yeah. So and again, I don't want to say that these characters necessarily terrible or anything, but
I think that's actually not what we're saying.
Yeah,
they're not.
Some of them are.
Well, yeah,
right. But this is one that I was initially very excited for. I'm not a big Clone Wars person, but I know a lot of people were excited by this character. So it's Clone Commander Cody, who initially at first glance seemed like it was going to be very interesting, and it just turned out to not be. Like, they're just, I don't know if there wasn't enough support to go along with Cody to get him. I also feel that at it's almost like when they designed it, instead of him being 9/12, they made him 9/13. 9 is the only spot where you can actually legally run 3 clone. You could run 3 clone troopers with him, right? So it's a one.
And it doesn't even work with Allies of Necessity either. Yeah,
it just felt like if it had been 9/12, maybe there would have been some extra little trixies builds you could have done in there. And he's got a decent. He has the same die as a clone trooper, right? With the exception of instead of having 2 blanks, he has a special and a blank, right? Yeah. So I don't know. I just felt like he was maybe a little overcosted on the elite, and I was expecting more.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they costed him where they did because of some. I've never actually been able to figure out the math of why he fell where he did. Because I couldn't come up with a weird 5-die clone pairing.
I just figured if anyone was ever going to figure out a way to make Clone Commander Cody usable, it would have been you, being such a fan of the clones in general. And
he basically his best spot was just taking over in the Rex clone deck. It became Rex Cody clone. That's really just where he fit, and I did never really find a spot.
Yeah. So that was my number 5.
Okay. So it's your number 4.
Bo-Katan from Way of the Force. Yeah, and I would like to point out that I don't necessarily think this is a problem with Bo-Katan. Although I feel like for 20 points she should have 13 health instead of 12. That's a minor quibble.
I think she would today.
Yeah. I think the biggest problem that Bo-Katan had was no available pairing to put with her, and she just never saw any even remotely competitive play.
Yeah.
And even then, when we finally found a pairing with her, which was Satine, when Satine got released, then it was a mono yellow deck, which I think sucked. It was just so. I was really just because I was very excited about Bo-Katan. Again, I know nothing about the Clone Wars or anything, the cartoon, but I saw this big hero big, which I was initially excited about, and I thought she had basically 3 damage sides, and I was like, oh, that's super cool, but just you couldn't put her with. There was just never a really good pairing.
I mean, I think the one everyone was initially excited about was Yoda Crime Lord. And then that basically just went nowhere.
Yeah, it's a cute. I mean,
because everyone knew it was going to go.
It was jank, right? So that was my Bo-Katan number 4 for me.
Right. Number 3.
My boy Sebulba.
See, now this one's interesting. So go ahead.
So Sebulba found a little bit of play in with before Snoke got nerfed out of damage. He saw actually he probably still played Snoke, I think, but it was his special.
And he was played pre-Snoke nerf 1.
Right. Yes, correct. And I felt like they just didn't give. I don't think he's necessarily poorly costed or anything. He's 912, like he's got 9 health, everything's fine. 2 damage sides, right? But effectively in almost every deck you put him in, he's 2 blanks because his special just doesn't have enough support with it.
That's true.
And even then, when it looked like they were going in direction with the pod racers, like I think that was what he was going with. Never again was there any support
for the pod racers
or his ability after that. So I was disappointed by, and I like Sebulba. I thought he was a cool villain, a cool foil for little Annie. Like he was like because it's hard to have a super villain for a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old, and to have like Sebulba. I thought it was cool.
Yeah. I mean, fair enough. Yeah, the reason I was surprised was because Sebulba was actually like one of the terrorizing decks
for about 10 minutes.
Yeah,
right.
That's fair. But it was it was Sebulba, Sienna, and Snoke.
Yeah,
and it when Snoke got his Balance the Force, that got swapped out for Rebel Trader. Right. So.
Oh, because he went from 9 to 8.
Yeah. So.
Good damage. I mean, two.
No, and then that's why he worked so well with Snoke was he just had all the sides you wanted, and if you didn't get it, you just focused what you wanted, and so All right.
This one falls squarely in the field of both disappointing and bad, and I think why I'm most disappointed with this is I've actually given some effort to Dryden Voss, trying to make it good. I just can't do it. Actually, I had some people from ABG who posted in their the ABG guys were like, this could be the best Dryden Voss deck that we've actually ever thought of, and it's actually fun and competitive. And I took it to test it, and it was still booty. Like it just couldn't like. It's so variable without it. Like Dryden Voss is this like ultimate crime lord, right? Plotter, hand-to-hand combat. Like he's like this really nasty guy, but yet you have to shuffle your deck and then pull out rather than giving you some ability to fix your deck and then get exactly what he wants. Like huge disappointment. To put a 2 focus on a guy that has like a special that is the entire crux of his character, and then it feels so bad to use his 2 focus. Yeah, like it just total letdown. Boo.
See, I'm surprised to see this one on the list too, because this one for me fell in the category of like, all right, he's just bad. Like he's just bad. Not even.
I just want him to be good though. Like the idea was. Cool.
I know LOIs because for you it's like Jankometer. Like,
oh my gosh!
Right?
Yeah, I know. Yes, this was definitely. I wanted this to be good. He's 13 health, 20 points. Like he's got
the big size.
He's costed appropriately. His sides, just whoever did that needs to be taken outside and beaten.
All right,
not really.
So what's your number 1? Bring us home.
Yeah, so Fifth Brother, like for Way of the Force. Again, not a huge Clone Wars person or anything, but I heard really good stuff about how like devious this character was. I remember how good Seven Sister was back in Empire at War like days. So I was really looking forward to Fifth Brother.
Now those two did pair because he's 16, she's 14.
Correct. I think he's got 12 health, which is real good for a 16-point character, but having a 1 and a 2 stick side.
Well, he'd be fine if he had a 1 and a 2 and another 2.
Yes, I agree. He is, and then his special just doesn't work because you have to have upgrade sides that are not abilities that have resolvable sides by themselves, because his special, you basically lose a die to gain the upgrade die twice, right? Because
sure.
So like it has to be fan-freaking-tastic, right, for it to even be worth your while.
Well, I mean, it was kind of combo-y with his own saber because then you start pinging and stuff, right?
Yeah,
but yeah, I know you're right.
It was. I expected more. I was initially very excited. I remember getting his lightsaber and it also sucking. Like it was just like whoever designed Fifth Brother and his lightsaber apparently did not care for Fifth Brother. So that's my list. I would love to see these characters re-examined and maybe I don't know if there's a way to fix Voss.
Okay, so I mean, yeah, I don't know that Voss's problem is not his points, it's his ability, right? So Fifth Brother then, like I don't want to do this for every character we talk about, but let's say for Fifth Brother, what would he be playable at? 14?
For a 1 and a 2 damage, I can't even imagine. Yeah, and at 14
he still has
point,
his special.
Yeah, a 14-point character with 12 health. That's like Savage, level.
Oh, he does have 12
power.
health.
Yeah,
that's true.
That
so
would
he'd
be
probably have to be 13, or sorry, 15.
15. Yeah, and then no.
I mean, there's plenty. Like Rey, she has 1, 2. That's kind of the thing at 15. Like, yeah, so maybe he should be 15, 12. Right. I mean, Luke's 12.
I don't know, man.
I mean, fair enough.
Yeah, and 15. I will meet you at 15 and say maybe.
Yeah. Or I mean, if he's just not playable, he's not playable. So
I guess not every character can be good, right? We always forget that.
Of course not. Of course not.
I would like every character to be playable, though. Wouldn't that be a great game if every imagine how wide your local would be if every character was within 25% of power of the other characters.
Well, and I think all the ones we're talking about are still playable. Like, I mean, I've seen all of these hit the table. I've seen all of them hit the table in a local, right? But like Grievous, I don't think Grievous 2, right? Big Grievous, the 20 point that we're all like, this guy's just bad. I don't think I've ever seen him at the table. Oh, you played him?
Yeah, Sentinel Messenger version was awesome. That deck was cool.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so my list, my number 5 is Luke Skywalker from Way of the Force, right? Okay. So again, I kind of took the approach of guys who we really thought were going to be good, and like in the Luke Skywalker case, he actually, correct me if I'm wrong, but when Way of the Force came out, he was the number 1 high-selling legendary.
Oh, he was going for
like
bundles.
50-some bucks,
yeah,
right?
Yes.
And the Snokes of the world were like in the mid-20s, and how wrong we were, right?
And he was he was competitive for a few minutes. Right, I mean, there was some.
I mean, no, him and Ray. So he was playable. He was, he was in tournaments, but like he never really went anywhere. And I guess I was just disappointed. He just really never materialized into, I think, how good we expected him to be. Right.
It's like we expected a character that's been around since my childhood, who's like trained Jedi Master to actually be a skilled combatant by the time he was in his late 50s, but ends up being a broken down and battered old man instead.
I mean, fair enough.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean,
I just think the reality is like his lightning rod ended up seeing more play overall than him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. His lightning rod, I still play his lightning rod, and I think there's maybe some room to explore for Luke, but he's ultimately disappointing. I kind of agree with you.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, he's not bad. Right. He's fine. He's good. Fine. He just wasn't quite the Luke I think we thought he could be.
I could do a whole podcast on that statement. Keep going before.
All right, next is Saw Gerrera, right? Saw. So Saw's been around since Legacy. Like Saw's been around a long time.
We forget.
He really didn't see any play until Padme, which was Convergence,
and that was for like 9 minutes.
Yeah, until everybody figured out that deck got torn apart because it had too few health. Right. I mean, Saw had so much potential back in the second chance days. Mm-hmm. He just never, at 16 points, you could just never really do anything with him. Yeah. I know there was a Saw Cassian deck that I saw flying around for a bit, but again, he's good. He's got a lot of potential. That special, there were plenty of jank decks, like Jank Knight decks that came out with trying to abuse that special, like Yoda Saw, right, trying to throw big stuff.
I felt like the only way his special was playable is if you used it to really disrupt either you had to set your hand up, right, or you could use it to disrupt your hand.
You had to discard your own cards for it. Yeah,
but it feels really bad when you have a 16-point character. He should be carrying the biggest load, right, of the damage, and then if you don't, it takes so long to set it up, like in your own hand, or if you took a guess at your opponents and then you ended up discarding one, you're like, that felt really bad.
Yeah, so. Yeah, that's I had Saw on there. I just wasn't.
He was on my. He was when I was penciling my list. He was on my.
He was on your short list.
Yeah, he was my short list. Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, next is Callus. So I actually played a lot of Talzin Callus when Legacy first came out.
I have to hear this.
And Callus, he could have been so good. Like, look at him. Like, he's got the 2 gun sides. He's got a 1 melee, a 3 melee for 1, and a power action that can let you flip a damage to a opposite damage. Right.
Is it his cost that is just disappointing?
Yeah, he's 18 points.
Yeah, he's a trooper leader. Right?
Yeah, well, he wasn't. He is now. Yeah, but I don't think that really changes anything now at 18 points.
Right. There's really nobody to put him with.
I mean, you're telling me you wouldn't play Iden over this guy?
Right? Yeah, I definitely play Iden.
Right.
Yeah,
so I think Callus maybe at 16 points, maybe.
Yeah.
But
man, he was wicked though in Legacies.
In Legacies, it was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't like winning stuff.
No,
but like it was a good, fun little deck,
Yeah.
right? The Callous Talisman again.
It put a lot of pressure on you, like any deck that just flips its die.
It's like flip to a 3.
Right. Like,
Flip to a 3.
Okay, well all your removal's gone, right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I buy that one.
Yeah.
I know you were initially very excited by Callus, like that.
Yeah, Talisman. I made Amy. She played it on the trilogies. I believe she played it at the Trilogy Galactic Qualifier that was in Portland.
Okay.
After the Legacies release. So
we have this. We still have this deck in our new player box, right?
Yeah, that's the one I built.
Yeah. This
Although
is like
it's Talisman Callus, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's cool because there's some tricks that they can do, but it's pretty straightforward. Roll if you don't flip.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I forgot. Yeah, you've still got that. Yeah. All right, my number 2 is Finn from Legacies.
Jeez, the hot takes are just burning me up here.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know. Finn is at the time and I think he still is very strong. Finn was like actually the mathematically best character in the game. Right, just in terms of like his EV, right? Because he's got the 2, the +2, the 3, and then his special, which for all intents and purposes is worth 2, right? So Finn, like when I saw him, I was like, oh my goodness. He just never really didn't. I mean, he kind of was around a bit in the Trooper decks.
He should have been 15 point. He would have been super strong at 15 point. Like he probably would have been busted at 15.
Yeah, I think at 15, him and Poe-2 would have been pretty brutal.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Right, flip Poe special to take a shield and then flip into 2 damage.
And that's probably the greatest disappointment I had for me with Finn was that he didn't pair with Poe naturally. Like, how do you not do like bros for life?
Bro Dameron.
Right, yeah, like I don't understand how that doesn't happen. Like who thought that was a good idea to not allow us to play Finn and Poe together?
And I think a lot of the stuff, if you see on my list, like if you saw them come out a lot at like Solidarity Nights or AON Nights or stuff like that, then I think that's kind of where it falls. It's like, man, they were right there, and as soon as we can get a little bit of cheat in, then we're playing him. But until we can kind of bend the rules a little bit, he's out.
Kess Finn was actually pretty fun in Allies of Necessity. Right, but that was the same argument. Against a regular deck, it was so bad. Like, cause you just.
And remember, I did take down that one local with Finn Rex.
Oh,
right.
Yeah, that
back
one.
in the Docking Bay days. And I could abuse Docking Bay and hit and run, right? But still, you had to roll 2s. So
right. All
right, and then I'll bring us home. So my number 1 is Zeb from Legacies.
Yeah.
This guy, like you can resolve his damage as either ranged or melee. Right. It's like you can drop a hidden blaster on a guy with melee sides.
Any upgrade in the game could be useful with him that has modified sides.
Zeb had so much promise, but 17, which actually is not that bad, but like he just didn't have anybody, and Ayla couldn't pair with him
because she couldn't flip his dice.
I mean, she could pair with him, but she couldn't flip his dice.
Yoda was like the only really.
Yeah, and it still didn't even really work.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't work.
I went through a Zeb Fen phase for like 3 days, and it just was awful. Like, it was just, it just couldn't work. It was so bad.
Yeah, I think Zeb at 6, again, there's another one where like Zeb at 16 would be pretty playable. I don't know who exactly I'd play him with, but there's got to be a 14-point character out there to pair him with, right? So
I was just always disappointed that there weren't more pairable specters with him. Like, I think that would have been fun. Like, had there been, because I'm trying to.
Okay, we did play him with Kanan at one point too. The old Kanan.
Yeah, but Kanan was like.
I'm not saying it was good.
Right. No, and maybe there's some play there with Chopper, but what are you gonna do with that point? Like, there's just like weird.
It'd be 2 points. You could run double down or something.
He's 17 and 12, isn't it?
17
Chopper's,
and 11.
Chopper's 11. Yeah. I don't know. Like
with your 20 point team,
I just feel like you need more. Like, is that really though the plight with every character that is in this point range of 16 to 20? Like they unless there is a logical pair with them at 16, right? Mm-hmm. Seventh sister and fifth brother. I'm thinking of those kind of pairing. Maul and Savage. I think from the old days, right? That was
the brothers deck.
Yeah,
that's a fun deck.
Yeah, these characters always sit in this weird like hole where we just can't. Like, we're always struggling to come up with them because at 18, generally they don't make them so big they can carry the game.
Yeah, but look at like a Dooku too. I mean, I think maybe there's a difference between heroes and villains, right? Like a villain at 18 seems pretty legit because Talzin's a thing. And actually, I mean, Ayla's a thing now again, right, at 12. So I suppose if it's the right color, 18. Right. I mean, we've seen Qui-Gon and I mean, they're not super great, but like we've seen Qui-Gon Ayla, we've seen Yoda Ayla. There's pairings out there. Yeah. But I mean, I think by and large, you're right. Like, unless you're playing a mid, the big sort of little doesn't.
You need like big little or mid or support wide support. Right. Like those are this like kind of big like support.
Yeah. So anyway, those are our list of our top 5. I don't know if disappointing is the right word.
I actually have a bonus hot take.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I had asked Mike, so we each came up with our. Oh, you have a bonus hot take on this or our bonus?
No, that's my bonus bonus. Okay, yeah, so I don't know if you had the bonus
slide. I do, yeah. Okay, so I had asked Mike before, after we got to doing this, when you were talking about it, I was like, actually, bonus question: what is your top most disappointing character of all time? So I'll actually give mine first.
Okay.
Mine is Mace Windu.
Ooh,
the first Mace Windu.
Right.
When this guy was spoiled, I remember. Like the internet broke for like 5 minutes.
Oh, 4 damage! All right, yeah, it's broken. The game's dead.
And everyone's like, "Oh my god, you can play him with Maz!" And then like 6 months later, everyone's like, "Yeah, you can only play him with Maz."
So true. Yeah.
Right. So I really tried to make this work. Derek, bless his heart, really tried to make this guy work for a long time.
Yeah.
May have been what broke his poor heart on Destiny.
Yeah. He should have like 15 health, like for that. Well, that's probably. At least 13 with a 4-for-1 side.
I think if you were going to design him today with that, I think he'd have 14 health.
Right.
And I think he would have a 2 shield side and a 2 money side.
Along with a 2-2 and a 4-for-1?
Okay, maybe a 1 money, but still.
Okay. That would be a... I can't... How many points is he? I can't remember.
He's 22.
22.
Goes with Maz.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
I mean, and I think he's been balanced down, actually, and I don't know off the top of my head what he's been
on the Infinite.
On the Infinite Holocron, but yeah, he was super disappointing. All right, so what is your bonus round?
So I don't know if it's the most disappointing character ever, but my bonus pick for a thing that kind of got me like a hook in my craw was the entire character suite from Allies of Necessity.
Just the whole box.
The entire box. Like, I mean, there were some good cards in there, but especially the character suite. Of all the characters in the box, only a single one of them gets any play at all, and that's the Dooku. He's a 9 health character for 11-13.
And he gets very little health.
Yeah. It is just... I don't know. After getting the Rivals kit and then having like Anakin, who ended up being like super relevant, like like everywhere, like not to even have like a usable character out of that box. I mean, Dooku's barely usable, but anymore with all of these all of these decks doing a bunch of indirect damage, you can't play Dooku.
No.
Like he's for 13 points. You need for.
Well,
if he was 10-13,
he's 11 for 9 or 13 for 9, and Anakin was 10-13
for 10.
For 10.
Right. And had good 3 damage, potentially 3 damage sides like Dooku. Dooku's power action is pretty cool. I mean, I just don't think it means that he should be costed too higher than his health for his single side. It must have been some sort of balancing thing with the actual draft box.
No, it definitely was. It's so that you can run all the characters, right?
I would like to see them... since we're on the subject of balancing down, I actually would like to see this character balanced not for draft, but for standard. I think he could be...
You think he should be 9-12? Or 10-12, I guess, would have to be?
Yeah, or I'd even take 9-12. Like, I think, like, to make him...
No, because he's 11-13, so then you'd have to be -2, -1.
Yeah, and that would be my prime.
You'd want to go -2, -1.
Yeah, because I think he's a fine 12. I think he's
put
a
him
9.
on the same page as Talzin?
Correct, yeah. He does have 3 damage sides, which is
right. Because remember, you're not changing his health, you're not changing his die sides.
Right.
So
yeah, maybe 10. I'd probably go 10-12. I think he'd be playable.
I think probably 10-12.
Yeah, because he only pairs.
So then, do you do the same for all of them? Like Finn Rao, is Finn Rao playable at 9-12, 10-12?
No, like none of them are playable that way. I just like that's the one that I think, yeah, you could probably apply the same thing. Although Fenrao's power action is actually damaged,
yes,
as opposed to Dooku's, which is
right. No, the only play with Dooku is dropping his saber on him turn 1 and eviscerating your opponent, and you don't even really eviscerate him that bad.
Right. It does hurt.
No, of course it does. Because you assume they've played 1 card, you drop it, they lose 2. It's just 1 turn.
In the current meta, there are so many decks right now that will spike a 9-point character, especially a 9-point villain character, because they don't have as many ways to defend themselves, like with shields and healing. So like that character is going down. Like, there's no doubt about it. So that's very disappointing by allies and necessity characters. Sorry.
No, that's fair. All right, fair enough. So, all right, what do we got going on this week?
So, more prep for Prime.
Okay.
Right? So, Prime is a little bit less than a month away now.
October 5th.
Yes, October 5th is the actual Prime. So, just kind of I'm getting prepared, making all the arrangements. We have had a really good response. I've already got over 33 people interested, like saying they're coming.
Pre-registered?
Yeah, not pre-registered, because that button, I'm only using that button so I know how many people are coming. Some people just said they're coming and didn't click it. But anyway, at this point, I feel like we're going to easily hit my personal goal of 45. I think would be a good number. Any more than 45 is really just like super gravy. But yeah, that's what we're doing.
You'll hit that.
Yeah, I feel like it is the first one, and we have a really good community.
People are going to be
excited.
very hungry for anything, I think, at that point, right? Because we're going into what would have been GQ season, and we don't know anything about GQs, right? So
yeah, and that's another even issue. I had someone today on the local Facebook page ask, "Hey, the Rose City Comic Cons this weekend, is there any like Destiny thing happening?" We've historically had
a GQ
or something. Even
wasn't
Sean,
it just pods the last time?
Yeah, it was pods last time,
yeah.
but. Sean, if I remember right, I thought Sean ran one before, like originally, like 2 years ago, like just kind of like on their own, like he just like it was really. But we've always done something, and the answer was no. And the company that took over for Cascade publicly said not only no, but we don't know anything about Destiny or what FFG's plans for us and Destiny are. But at the same time, they're planning and running Keyforge events.
Yeah.
So that was a little disappointing, but yeah, you're right. People are going to be super hungry for it. The prizes are real good. We're doing extra raffles, like for the person who the closest to the cut, we call it. So close to the cut gets a special prize, either a spot gloss or a prize mat if we have enough. So there's that spot's near and dear to me because I suck. So I always hit that 9th and 10th spot.
Well, the Ray cut, like everybody who shows up, especially if you're at that number, because isn't it the top 64 leave with the 3 promos, the Kylo, the Ray, and then the...
don't quote me. I believe it's
the top
correct.
64, right? So, I mean, even if you just show up, you get those, and those are pretty good looking.
Yeah, it's super cool. We're gonna have a great time. I'm really hopeful that we'll get some sort of nugget that's gonna freshen it. Before then, I don't know. I don't know if there's enough time for them to make a balance before then.
For October 5th, isn't it? It's 11 days.
Yeah, because it's a premier event, so it has to be
11 days.
Full 11 days. It would have to be done.
You'd have to see it the
by the
Thursday
25th,
before.
25th of September, I think, would be.
Sorry, 2 Thursdays before, like the Thursday of the week before.
Yeah, that would be tough.
So we're getting a Destiny product the next 2 weeks.
I don't think. I don't think.
Oh, you're thinking of balance the force or something.
A balance or just a small refresh. And I think the people that will be hurt the most by it are the people that are really dialed in and super good right now with the decks they've dialed in, especially the top decks. Like if you're really dialed into that, you're going to suffer for some sort of change. And I think it's going to give an opportunity for someone to really sneak in a weird deck and do some damage.
Yeah.
No, what do you got going on?
Yeah, no, just the same. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
So.
Good.
All right, well, hey, so let us know what characters, if there are characters you've been super disappointed with that fall kind of along the same lines. I mean, I realize this could go in a lot of different directions,
right.
But if let us know what you're thinking about, how you feel about the negative balance of force, which could be fun, probably isn't going to happen, but could be fun. And if you like what we're doing, please give us the subscribe. We always like to see that. Mike will go through the comments. And
yes, I will. I will answer you. I almost always, if I haven't answered you, I apologize. I will always try to get to it. So thank you for interacting with us.
Yep. And if nothing else, go Commando.
Go Commando.